Hey guys, this is Alex from Answered Tech, and this is a PowerBook G4 that Apple announced back in 2002. I'm going to be comparing the 15-year-old PowerBook to a 2015 MacBook Pro to see just how different these devices really are. The generation of the PowerBook G4 that I have started at a price of $2,299, while I paid $1,999 for the MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro uses a unibody aluminum chassis, which makes it feel very solid and premium. The hinge feels sturdy and well built, and in my opinion, the keyboard and trackpad are extremely enjoyable to use. The Force Touch trackpad allows you to click anywhere, and it can even sense multiple levels of pressure and give different feedback based on the force of a press. I've been carrying this laptop to and from school for over a year now, and it's been an excellent computer. The MacBook Pro is known for its build quality, and it definitely shows with this product. The PowerBook G4 is not as well built, but that's not to say it's a poorly made computer. The display has more flex than the MacBook Pro, and the screen closes with a physical latch rather than with magnets, but for when this laptop was made, it's still pretty impressive. It does use more plastic than the MacBook Pro, so due to how much hard use it's gotten, many of the plastic pieces have started to crack, and some parts of the laptop have started to fall off or bend. The keyboard is okay, but it has quite a bit of flex, and the traditional trackpad doesn't support many of the gestures that the MacBook Pro does. Overall, the MacBook Pro is definitely better made, but considering that the PowerBook is now 15 years old, it's held up very well. The MacBook Pro will obviously have higher end specs than the PowerBook G4, but it's still interesting to compare them and see just how much innovation there's been over the last decade and a half. The MacBook Pro is using a 2.2 GHz Intel Core i7 CPU and has 16 GB of DDR3 RAM. The 256 GB PCIe-based SSD is extremely fast at both reading and writing data, and the IPS display has a resolution of 2880 by 1800, which makes it great for watching movies and reading text. The PowerBook G4 uses an 867 MHz PowerPC G4 processor and has 512 MB of SD RAM. The PowerPC processor is perhaps the biggest reason this laptop is nearly unusable today, since almost no modern apps support this CPU. With a 40GB 4200 RPM hard drive, it's much slower at reading and writing data than the MacBook Pro, which I'll demonstrate later in the video. The TFT display has a resolution of 1280 by 854 and has a matte finish, which I actually prefer over the glossy display of the MacBook Pro when using the laptops in bright light. The ports on a laptop usually provide a good indication of its age, and that is the case here. The MacBook Pro has two USB ports that can transfer data at speeds of up to 5 gigabits per second, as well as two Thunderbolt 2 ports that can transfer data at an incredible 20 gigabits per second. An SD card slot, headphone jack, and HDMI port are also included, as well as Bluetooth 4.0 and 802.11 AC Wi-Fi. This laptop is charged using a magnetic MagSafe charger that easily unplugs if the cable is pulled. Moving on to the PowerBook, under the rear I/O cover, there are two USB ports that can transfer data at a mere 12 megabits per second, as well as a FireWire port rated at 400 megabits per second. Also included on this laptop is an Ethernet port and a modem port, a Kensington lock slot, a headphone jack, and an expansion slot, as well as an S-Video and a DVI port for connecting to a display. My version of the PowerBook also has the optional AirPort card for 802.11b Wi-Fi, and it also has a CD/DVD drive on the front, and unlike the MacBook Pro's MagSafe charging connector, the PowerBook G4 uses a more traditional power connector that includes a charging indicator light. To test both the speed of the USB ports and the speed of the internal drives of each laptop, I'm first going to copy a file from a USB 3 flash drive to the desktop, and then duplicate that file on the desktop. In the first test, the MacBook Pro took around 5 seconds to copy the file from the flash drive, while the PowerBook G4 took over 10 minutes to complete the transfer. When duplicating the file on the desktop, the MacBook Pro took under 5 seconds, while the PowerBook took slightly over a minute. While I expected these results, the PowerBook G4 is considerably slower in both tests and would be very difficult to use in a modern workflow with large files. Speakers are a very important part of any laptop, so I recorded an audio sample from the speakers of each laptop playing the same song at full volume. While these audio samples won't provide a completely accurate representation of each laptop's speakers, due to factors such as audio compression and my recording setup, they should at least give you an idea of how the speakers compare. The MacBook Pro gets much louder than the PowerBook G4, and audio sounds much richer. While I'm definitely not an audiophile, I would much rather use the speakers on the MacBook Pro. While it's difficult to find many advantages of the PowerBook G4 over the MacBook Pro, it's amazing to see just how well it's held up given its age. If you have a question or comment, please be sure to leave it below, and thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.